I don't know how you get around that.
Let me ask you this. I watched the Supreme Court hearings.
Yeah.
As did everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like Hurricane Kavanaugh. The country was absorbed in these things. What did you think about the Supreme Court hearings?
I thought that Dr. Christine Blasey Ford was so brave to come and tell her story. And she admitted before she sat down that she was terrified. She was terrified. And when she opened her mouth to speak, I was struck by the girlish quality of her voice. I was very surprised at that. But I also found her very believable and very credible. Listen, this is somebody who said that she was terrified to tell the story. And she also said that she's on the beach with friends trying to figure out what to do. And someone says, it's what we learn in school. Well, call your congressman, which is what she did. She seemed to have done all of the right things, and she put herself out there. Even people who said that she was a credible person. And, we've been trying to talk to her. She's in hiding somewhere. She can't even go back home. So that whole thing made me sad. On the other hand, Brett Kavanaugh came. He was extremely angry. I didn't think that he was totally honest with the Senate Judiciary Committee. You had people from his past who had hung out with him, said that he drank to excess. He totally denied all of that. And I just thought that if you had to weigh who was telling the truth and who wasn't, I thought for many people it was clear. And, after a while, his behavior at the Senate Judiciary Committee I thought was troubling, since it's supposed to be nonpartisan. I thought that was troubling. I thought the issues that he raised, I thought they produced enough people that showed that he was less than truthful, and he still became a Supreme Court justice. So I sat there and I was surprised that was the outcome. I was surprised that he was nominated.
Well, let me ask you this. If he had been a Democrat and she had been a Republican, do you think that everybody that was supporting Kavanaugh would have flipped to the other side, and everybody supporting her would have flipped to the other side, and we would have had exactly the same debate, exactly the same circus of a hearing?
Yeah, I do, because it's gotten so partisan. I mean, people are terrified on both sides of going against their own party, even when they think their own. I've seen people say this to me privately. Jeff Flake is a really good example when he said that, he called for, let's have the hearing, let's have the investigation. And he was asked on 60 Minutes with Scott Pelley, would you have been comfortable doing this if you were still running again? And he said, no. He said, no, I would not be comfortable because because no one is listening. I thought, how sad is that? That had he been running again, he wouldn't even have behaved the way that he did. So to me, it's not even about Democrat or Republican. It's about right and what's wrong.
But my point is, you could have flipped and had exactly the same thing, which means it has nothing to do with the issue. It is total partisan politics, which is not what it's supposed to be. You would have had all of the people standing up, making the speeches and all. Yeah. They would have just changed the topic. They would have just changed the slant. It would have been exactly the same circus.
Wow, that's interesting. If she had been a Republican, he would have been a Democrat.